I've seen the commercial. It's pretty cool, and it made me think, are you happy because you win, or do you win because you're happy? As a coach, when I was upbeat and positive, I was happy. I was a much better coach. Yeah, and of course with Michelob Ultra with just 95 calories, it was good for an active guy like me.
Coach, speaking of, upbeat, happy coaches, I think Andy Reid has some similarities to you in that regard. He's not a guy you see yelling at people very often, tries to be positive. We heard a lot going into this year about the difficulties of repeating as champions, that you have the target on your back, all of it. You're, of course, one of the very few coaches who has repeated as champions. What is some of the added difficulty you found in year 2, and how are you guys able to succeed, and what in that have you seen the Chiefs doing similarly or differently to what you guys did?
I talked to Brett Veach about this, general manager, and of course Andy knows. He's been in this league a long time, one of the greatest coaches ever to coach in this league. After you have success, any company, any successful team, everybody in the offseason says, well, what about me? I didn't get a big enough contract. I didn't get enough accolades. I didn't get enough credit. Everybody, and I talked to Belichick about this after his first Super Bowl. I said the secretaries are going to want a raise. All the players are going to want new contracts. Everybody's going to want more credit. You're going to have books and television shows, etc. You got to deal with that. And Andy's done a great job of dealing with that.
Hey, Coach, first, I haven't gotten an invite to the boat. I haven't gotten an invite to the restaurant. I'm right up the road in North Miami, and I'm disappointed in that. Will you send me and our crew a pack of Michelob Ultra?
Well, yeah, without question. Not just one pack. How about two 6-packs of it?
All right, perfect. All right, we got you on the books for that. All right, got it. Now, let me ask you this, because Tom Brady just came out and he's talking about his experience and how his experience really isn't going to play a role in this Super Bowl, Super Bowl 55. So Tom Brady really talked about it's about on the field, getting it done there, just playing better than the other guy or the other team. Leading up to this Super Bowl, 9 days out, what were you telling your team about how to eliminate distraction? Because I'm on this side thinking, no, Tom Brady, your teammates can lean on you throughout these weeks leading up so you can help them eliminate the distraction. So what were you telling your teams?
Well, I agree with Tom Brady. Talent's what matter. In my first Super Bowl, we had the youngest team in the league. And we're going up against Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith, Andre Reed, Darryl Talley, on and on. And it's just that we played better, just like Tom Brady said. Whoever prepares the best, whoever plays the best that particular day, they're the ones that are going to win. The experience goes out the window after the first play. And the Chiefs, they've got experience. They've been there, so they know what they're getting into.
That's right. Nick said that.
Coach, I want to take a quick detour from the Super Bowl and talk about Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence. When we talk about the success that he had in college, you are sort of the shining beacon of being able to transfer that success in the college game to the program, especially when you come in with a quarterback at the same time. What advice do you have for Urban? How well do you think he's going to do in Jacksonville?
Well, I think Urban will do an excellent job. I've talked to him 3 or 4 times, and of course he worked with Fox, and we spent time together there. But he actually, Brandon, you'll like this. He brought his son Nate down, and I took him fishing, and Nate caught him about a 50-pound mahi.
There you go.
He didn't stay in the guest house, so he was over at the restaurant.
No, I don't like that.
As far as Urban, he's got to utilize the information he's got as far as the great players around the league. That helped me out when I first got in the league. I'd never coached pro football before. But I knew all the good college players. I knew Stepnoski at Pittsburgh. I played against him. I knew I wanted to draft him in the 3rd round. You know, I knew Emmitt Smith. I tried to recruit him. You know, I drafted him. I knew Troy Aikman. I was in his home when he was a sophomore in high school. So I wanted Troy Aikman. So utilize that information that you have recruiting all these great players, because talent's what wins. You know, everybody talks about coaching, and the coaching is big as far as running the organization. But the X's and O's coaching, there's not many bad coaches in the professional football league, but there is a lot of difference in the talent level. The talent is what he's got to get. Get good players. That'll win for you.
Okay, Coach, well, let's stay right there. Hot topic right now. So where do you stand on Brady versus Belichick? Talent versus coach?
Bill Belichick's the finest coach I've ever been around. He covers all the bases. He gets more out of less than any coach I've ever seen. Yeah, I can't compare any coach to Bill Belichick. He's the best.
Well, then, we talk so much, Coach, about success in the NFL and an extension of what you've just been talking about. And it's almost lucky if you as a head coach get paired with a superstar quarterback. You did it with Troy, Belichick with, Brady, Andy Reid with Mahomes. And that success breeds more success, and we've seen that over the years. So for you, what was it like finally, when you land on someone like Troy Aikman? What is it like for the relationship, and then obviously that leading to the success on a team?
Well, Jenna, you're right. In order, you can win games. The old days when you could win with a great defense and run the football and a quarterback that could manage the game, that was the old days. Nowadays, with the changes in the rules as far as, the passing game and opening up the passing game, you're not going to win a championship unless you have a franchise quarterback. So you've got to have the great quarterback. But now once you get this great quarterback, you got to surround him with talent. I remember after our second year, Troy hurt his shoulder, and we would have made the playoffs the second year. But I said, Troy, I'm sorry you didn't make the Pro Bowl. He said, Coach, just keep surrounding me with talent. I'll make plenty of Pro Bowls. And that's what we did. We surrounded him with talent, and that's when we started winning Super Bowls.
All right, let's stay on talent for a moment, Coach. Have you, not about accomplishments, have you ever seen in your football life a quarterback more talented than Patrick Mahomes?
Absolutely not. The closest one I've seen is Aaron Rodgers. But I said, when we did the Super Bowl last year, I said Patrick Mahomes is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. He has special qualities. He can do it all. He is head and shoulders above any quarterback I've ever seen. He's a great player, and that's why I would never ever pick against him.
And then I want to stay on the talent, because your guys' talent. You guys had a talented group of triplets, and in your era, not that that's a long bygone era, but triplets meant you guys started it: quarterback, wide receiver, running back. But you just mentioned about how the game has become so pass-heavy. One could argue triplets these days could be quarterback, wide receiver, another wide receiver, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. How would you measure Aikman, Irvin, Emmitt against Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey? With Kelsey, instead of a running back, the receiving tight end, because that's the Chiefs' version of the triplets.
I'm not real good at comparisons, Nick. You look at it, we had the great players with the triplets, but people don't realize we were #1 in the NFL on defense. And everybody talks about the success of the Cowboys. The triplets is, they're the first three that went in the Hall of Fame. But defensively, we were #1 in the league defensively. Of course, Charles Haley eventually got into the Hall of Fame. Comparing, wide receivers and running backs and quarterbacks, I'm just not real good at it, because, football is such a team game. Those triplets needed that defense. They needed one of the best offensive lines ever. And so an individual's not going to have success unless he's got a supporting cast.
Love it. Love it. Push the conversation forward a little bit, Coach. Deshaun Watson, another hot topic. So I want to get your thoughts on this before we let you go. Deshaun Watson, if you're sitting here, you're a head coach, what would you give up to get a quarterback like this if you needed one?
Well, first of all, Brendan, trades are so difficult in the league when you look at the contracts and salary cap and compensation, et cetera. But as far as Watson, if I was the new head coach, David Culley, I would go and knock on his door, and I would spend night and day with him. I'd have me a cold Michelob Ultra or something, and I'd say, hey, stay with me. We're gonna get it done. I did that with Troy Aikman. Troy was all upset with me my first year because I had Steve Walsh, and I had to kind of walk the line between the two because I knew I wanted to trade Steve Walsh. Well, after I traded Steve Walsh, I went to Troy's.
Can lean on you throughout these weeks leading up so you can help them eliminate the distraction. So what were you telling your team?